That photograph, that picture, it could be the landscape, it could be a face that just triggers that memory of, I know this, or it reminds me of a story of my childhood or my grandparents' childhood.
We have the diaries of many of the students and scientists who participated in the expedition. We also have thousands of images, and in many cases we know who the scientists and other participants were who came from different parts of the country to actually do the different examination of the land and the archaeology. But what we are missing are the narratives of the people who worked as a support group for the scientists and others and helped them survive in this very harsh environment, as well as helped them carry all of the heavy equipment and supplied the fly camps that were often many miles from the base camp. And so we were traveling to visit people in the Navajo administration and the Zuni Nation. And Ron Maldonado, who's been a consultant for many years, introduced me to the director of the Navajo Nation Museum, Manny Wheeler. And at the end of our wonderful conversation, Manny suggested that we come to the Navajo Fair and present our photographs to the public, and we would have a context of people from all over the nation gathering for this fair. And he had done this sort of thing before in the museum, and it was very, very successful and got a lot of good feedback for it. And so we accepted his invitation, and it was a fantastic event for us. The older generations were able to talk to the younger people about the life as it used to be lived. And Derek told me, directly relating to the pictures, what he saw and how he remembered so clearly the chores and the things that he helped with when he was a boy with his grandparents and his parents. And it struck me that he was very interested in passing this along to his children, like many were.
As I'm traveling through the reservation, I see certain aspects that come to mind that I can kind of relate to, of things that I did when I was younger. So like if somebody's herding sheep, or somebody's hauling water, or if that resemblance of, let's say I stop somewhere at a customer's house and I see that metal bin like in that picture, or that metal bin, it looks like they were dyeing sheep wool for a rug to be made. And so those little things, they pop up and they have a whole story behind it. We're based on a lot of oral history. And so when we bring up pictures, that's a relatively new thing. And so when it's like that, when you bring pictures up, man, it makes a big difference. All this flood of emotions comes back, And so it's something I've been thinking about for a long time, is that my kids, they're not going to experience the lifestyle that I went through. My generation is probably going to be the last to kind of go through what those pictures kind of go through.
Well, I think that community memory is really important. I don't think people really think about community memory and what's been lost and what has changed over the years, and having that memory that goes back. You see that a lot out here on the reservation, where you meet with people and you're talking about something completely different, and then the next thing you know, they're telling you about their childhood or their great-grandparents, how they lived and how they traveled across the landscape. And it's just information pouring over you.
when I started looking at like virtual reality. So they're getting to the point where not only am I talking my son about all the things that we used to do, through your project, he can actually see it now. And so the more material that you get and your more metadata starts growing, you can actually start stitching these things together. Overlaying it with personal experiences like myself, maybe other people that you talk about, overlaying it along with something that they can see, and not in 2D form, but in 3D, where they can walk around, navigate through items. It's going to make a huge difference for him connecting to my stories that I'm talking about, that I experience, and have him make that connection in which you're building that culture a little bit back up, which would be getting him in an environment.
As we go towards working in virtual reality, we are able to draw the context and the environment much more clearly if we know who the people were participating and what their stories are from the photographs.